Hello, my name is James Inciardi. That's Anchors Away, the U.S. Navy hymn. I'm a respiratory therapist at the VA hospital in Aurora, Colorado. Today I'm going to be talking about Bowman and Deal's 4-frame decision-making tool. As you know, the 4-frame decision-making tool is designed to help organization leaders to make intelligent decisions. The 4 frames include structure, politics, symbolism, and human resources. Today I'm going to be talking about the human resources frame. Bowman and Deal's human resources model emphasizes taking good care of your workers and motivating them to do their best. Sometimes when I think of leaders taking care of their workers, I think about my time in the Navy aboard the mighty USS Constellation, which you see here in this picture. The division I worked for had a few crew leaders who would motivate their workers by threatening to beat the crap out of them if they didn't do their job right. And then one day I found out it wasn't just a threat. They would really beat the crap out of you if you didn't do your job right. So I don't think Bowman and Deal really had that in mind when they were talking about taking care of your workers. But anyway, let's get to it. Okay, so the objectives here: state strategies to motivate a worker, state why it's important to motivate a worker, and state how a motivated worker can improve your business. So most people don't really like to go to work. Most of us have something else we would rather be doing. Yet in some workplaces, workers are willing to go the extra mile for the company. Let me take a minute to tell you about Tsutomu Yamaguchi, who is sometimes regarded as the unluckiest man in history. During World War II, he worked for Mitsubishi Heavy Industries. He was on a business trip in Nagasaki, Japan on August 6, 1945, when the Americans dropped an atomic bomb 2 miles from him. The blast ruptured his eardrums and burned his upper torso. He spent the night in a bomb shelter, and 3 days later, burned and deafened by the blast, where did he go? Well, he went back to work, of course, in Nagasaki. In fact, he was in his boss's office telling him the entire story, and according to Mr. Yamaguchi, he was getting yelled at by his boss who didn't believe his story when the second atomic bomb was detonated over Nagasaki. So he survived both atomic bomb blasts. It's an incredible story. But the reason why I wanted to bring it up to you is because after surviving an atomic bomb blast, how many people do you know would go back to work 3 days later? That is one motivated man right there. They say performance equals ability times motivation. It's an old formula that Bowman and Deal cite. To keep workers motivated, you have to keep them healthy and happy. And you have to take care of them. And to do that, you have to fulfill their needs. Another old adage is this: attitude reflects leadership. The fact that people respond to you in a certain way may say more about you than about them, say Bowman and Deal. They cite McGregor, who states that a man whose needs for safety, association, independence, or status are threatened is sick as surely as a man who has rickets, and his sickness will have behavioral consequences. Will we be mistaken if we attribute this resultant passivity, hostility, and refusal to accept the responsibility in his inherent human nature? These forms of behavior are symptoms of an illness, of deprivation of his social and egoistic needs. So what he's saying here is that a company that takes care of its workers will enjoy greater morale. Furthermore, these workers are more likely to go the extra mile for that company. Now let me get back to Yamaguchi, the Japanese who survived 2 atomic bomb blasts. The company that he worked for, Mitsubishi Heavy Industries, must have treated him very well and taken care of all of his needs. Why else would Mr. Yamaguchi go back to work 3 days after being nuked? Many people think that someone who goes the extra mile well, they don't really deserve anything more. They just deserve a paycheck. In fact, all of their workers just deserve a paycheck. Nothing more. Bowman and Deal question that assumption, saying that not only is it unjust, but it's bad psychology. Workplaces like these that you see here, they see their workers as nothing more than tools. They're like pawns on a chessboard that can be moved as needed and sacrificed for the good of the company. Today, companies love people who will work and only expect a paycheck. Companies like Uber and Lyft thrive on these kinds of workers who must provide their own car, pay for their own gas, and work without regard to additional benefits, like health insurance. Yeah, now I have to admit, I've never worked as an Uber or a Lyft driver, but most people regard these companies poorly and accuse them of exploiting the poor. Bowman and Deal note that Volkswagen opened a plant in Brazil where 80% of the workforce consists of gig workers. That's a scary prospect to me. So what happens if that worker has a problem? What if that worker has an accident, gets sick, or needs help? Well, they're just cast away. Strike the colors and leave them adrift. What will happen to them? Well, these companies don't know, and they just don't care. As a leader, I wouldn't want every one of my crew to feel that way. I wouldn't want to treat my people that way. I'm not the only one either. There's a school of thought out there that the individual and the company's needs can be aligned. Workers are not simply cogs in a machine. They are human beings with talents, ideas, and skills that can be brought to bear and put to the use of the company. And this can be done without exploiting those people. The result is a happier, more productive workforce that is motivated and willing to do more than is expected. While group work is not always a good thing, says Fullen in 2011, they do state that group collaboration and teamwork are the underpinnings of changing a group's attitude, new ideas, and accomplishing great tasks. Fullen lists 5 elements of a collaborative culture that you can find on page 91 of the book. Fullen also discusses motivation further, saying that there are 3 sources of motivation: biological drive, extrinsic rewards, and intrinsic rewards. Today we're just going to talk about extrinsic and intrinsic rewards. As extrinsic rewards refer to incentives and punishments, and intrinsic rewards refer to things that make us feel good by doing them. I put this picture up as an example of an extrinsic punishment, this one where the guy is being flogged at captain's mast. There's a rule I follow. You really shouldn't do this to your workers. Well, it's not really a rule. It's more like a guideline, I guess. Anyway, as for extrinsic rewards, they only go so far. If you want to dangle money in front of them, well, holding that carrot on the stick is good for short-term motivation, but for long-term motivation, you have to amplify the intrinsic rewards. And that's why I put this other picture of the hospital corpsman being awarded a nice, shiny red medal. That's a great intrinsic reward to show him that what he did, whatever it was, is appreciated and will be remembered. There are 4 core ingredients essential to boosting core motivation, and you can see them here in the slide: a sense of purpose, getting better at something, autonomy, and being well connected to others in the pursuit of significant goals. So what do all of these have in common? Well, they show you that if you take care of your workers, their general mood and affect will improve. This will make it more likely that they will connect with workers in the group. The workers in this group, motivated, will be willing to go out of their way, giving more for the company. And they'll form a coalition that's willing to put out more for the company. And this is why a company takes care of its people, and that company will prosper in ways that companies in a gig economy cannot. If you take care of your crew and make sure that your crew is happy and secure, they'll perform better. Some will become more motivated. That motivation will spread, and soon the entire crew will be motivated. They will all become top performers, happy comrades, and they will stay with your company for a good long time. Remember what I said before, performance equals ability times motivation. And that's why it's important to make sure that your crew is happy, just not too happy. Thank you for listening. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me, and here are my references. I hope you enjoy the presentation, and I hope you learned something from it. Thank you.